Kurtop here, and these are 100 archaeological finds that influenced our lives. Ceramic figurines from Mexico. In 1944, thousands of ceramic figurines were discovered in the Mexican city of Acambaro, which have since sparked heated debate among scientists. These figurines depict humans, animals, and even dinosaurs, which has led to speculation about possible contact between ancient civilizations and dinosaurs, or the existence of a civilization with incredible knowledge of the ancient world. Some supporters of alternative theories even hypothesize extraterrestrial origins or influences. However, the authenticity of the Acambaro figurines is seriously questioned by most scientists. Many researchers believe that these artifacts may be modern fakes created for attention-grabbing or commercial gain. The lack of reliable dating and archaeological context increases skepticism about their authenticity. Pyramid on the site of a volcano. The Great Pyramid at the Mayan site of San Andres was built in response to the eruption of the Tierra Blanca Joven volcano in the Lago Ilopango caldera. San Andres, located in the Zapotecan Valley in the department of La Libertad, El Salvador, was founded around 900 BC as an agricultural center that became the capital of the Mayan state between 600 and 900 AD. The eruption of Tierra Blanca Joven, which occurred around 539 AD, was one of the largest volcanic events in history, ejecting about 43.7 cubic kilometers of volcanic material. It caused significant climate change and devastated an area with a radius of up to 100 kilometers. Dr. Akira Ichikawa of the University of Colorado Boulder noted that due to the scale of the disaster, many settlements were abandoned and it took a long time to rebuild them. However, research in San Andres, just 40 kilometers from Lago Ilopango, has shown that construction began several years after the eruption. The start of construction of the La Campana Pyramid dates back to just 30 years after the eruption, and its completion took about 80 years. The pyramid, 7 meters high and with a volume of 23,000 cubic meters, was the largest structure in the valley. Dr. Ichikawa suggests that the pyramid was built using volcanic ash as a material and had religious significance associated with the worship of volcanoes in order to protect against future eruptions. Out-of-place artifact. Out-of-place artifacts are finds that do not fit into the traditional understanding of our history at all. They are found in places and layers of the earth where they should not be. The most amazing thing is that, given their age and level of complexity, such objects simply could not have been created at a time when, as is believed, no advanced technology existed. Official science often declares such finds to be fakes or simply ignores them, but their number is growing, and it is no longer possible to turn a blind eye to them. Let's take, for example, the mysterious Baigun metal pipes discovered in China. These pipes go deep into the ground and extend to the shores of lakes. Their age is estimated at 150,000 years. The composition of the pipes, including iron and other minerals, and their antiquity baffle researchers. Some believe that this is the result of natural processes, but others believe that the pipes could be traces of a highly developed civilization or even left by aliens. No less mysterious is a forged nail, the age of which exceeds 350 million years. This nail was found in a rock layer dating back to the Paleozoic, a time when neither people nor metalworking existed. How could such a nail get into ancient rocks? Some scientists suggest tectonic processes, others talk about the intervention of previously unknown civilizations. Fossilized tools were found in Provence, which could have been made by people or even from ancient trees. If this is true, then such finds indicate the existence of intelligent beings who had woodworking skills long before the appearance of the first known civilizations. Other finds are even stranger. In Antarctica, the Eltanin antenna was discovered, which at first looked like a high-tech object. However, it later turned out to be just a sea sponge. Nevertheless, the very fact of such a misconception shows how wrong we can be when faced with the inexplicable. The Paluxy River tracks are another mystery. Giant humanoid footprints were found next to dinosaur tracks. This discovery challenges our understanding of the chronology of life on Earth, since, according to the theory of evolution, dinosaurs and humans never crossed paths in time. There are other examples. The anomaly on Mount Ararat, which is associated with Noah's Ark, the clay figurine from Nampa, the age of which is unclear, or the wolf's egg iron, which is considered a remnant of the prehistoric era. Let's not forget about the Tucson artifacts, a collection of 31 lead objects found in 1924 near Picture Rocks, Arizona. These artifacts include crosses, swords, and other objects engraved with Latin and Hebrew inscriptions, as well as images resembling medieval symbols. Initially thought to be the work of ancient Mediterranean civilizations that allegedly crossed the Atlantic in the 1st century, many scholars later believed that they were hoaxes created in modern times to mislead researchers. Either way, each of these artifacts challenges our understanding of the past and opens the door to new theories and research. Perhaps our history is more surprising and mysterious than we could ever imagine. Fabric dyed with insects. Scientists have examined fragments of dyed fabric found in the Israeli Skulls Cave. These pieces of textiles date back to the Middle Bronze Age. The scientists' research has shown that the dye for the fabric was made from dried insects, Mediterranean kermes. Even in ancient times, people learned to make paints from living creatures. In the Mediterranean, the most expensive dye was purple, obtained from the secretion of the glands of sea mollusks. Another valuable red dye was made from dried female scale insects, such as the Mediterranean kermes, which live on oak trees. Written evidence of the use of such dyes is found in cuneiform texts from the Nutsi Archive and the Old Testament. Archaeologists have also found kermes in Neolithic vessels in France, although they were most likely used for magical or medicinal purposes. The earliest fragments of textiles dyed with kermes come from ancient salt mines in Austria from 1400–400 BC. Kermes was also used to dye the legendary Pazyryk carpet in Altai. Ancient metropolis in Serbia. In the area of the Tamas River in Vojvodina, Serbia, archaeologists have discovered the remains of an ancient settlement covering an area of 13 hectares. This Neolithic city was surrounded by protective ditches, indicating its importance and scale. The work was carried out jointly by specialists from various European scientific institutes who used the latest equipment for geophysical research. These studies helped reveal the existence of a previously unknown metropolis that existed here about 7,000 years ago. Artifacts discovered indicate that the settlement was associated with the Vinca culture, ancient inhabitants of southeastern Europe who lived there between 5,400 and 4,500 BC. The size and structure of the settlement are impressive, and geophysical data show its structure in detail. The metropolis probably suffered from a major fire which left behind many burnt houses. This could have been the result of a raid or disaster, after which the settlement was abandoned. In addition, the evidence found suggests the presence of at least 4 defensive ditches, indicating a high risk of attack at that time. 2 sensations on one stone. In the village of Yelabuga in Russia, an amazing archaeological discovery took place. A basalt boulder with petroglyphs reminiscent of the famous Sikachi-Alyan rock paintings was found. An image of a praying mantis was also found on this stone, which is rare for this region. An expedition of scientists from Moscow arrived in the region to study the find. Initially, archaeologists were skeptical about the report of petroglyphs, but on the spot they confirmed the authenticity of the artifact. Various figures are visualized on the stone, including a rare image of a praying mantis, which is unique in the whole world. Scientists continue to study this area, flying quadcopters to record coordinates and create a digital map of petroglyphs. The main question that remains open is the origin of the boulder with such unique patterns. There are hypotheses that the stone could have arrived with ice drift or been brought in another way. 3D models made from the drawings will allow archaeologists to present to the public exact copies of the Yelabuga finds, confirming their importance and uniqueness. This find not only confirms the rich history of the region, but also opens up new perspectives for the study of ancient civilizations. Ancient Roman sarcophagus instead of a table. A tourist accidentally found an ancient Roman sarcophagus on a beach in Bulgaria dating back to the 2nd or 3rd century AD. The find was discovered on the beach near the resort of Saints Constantine and Helena, 8 kilometers from Varna. The sarcophagus is decorated with reliefs with garlands and animal heads, typical of the Roman era. The Varna Archaeological Museum and the Ministry of Culture immediately began studying the find. Preliminary data indicate that the sarcophagus was used as a table in recent times. The modern marble lid and traces of facade paint confirm this. The sarcophagus, measuring 90 x 235 by 75 centimeters, was found near a closed complex. It is currently being cleaned of paint to reveal the original paintwork and techniques used in its creation. Restorer Milan Marinov from the Varna Historical Museum hopes to confirm the authenticity of the artifact. A detailed analysis will help determine whether this is a real Roman relic or a modern imitation. The oldest alphabet has been deciphered. Since 1964, archaeologists have discovered 15 tablets with mysterious carvings at an ancient settlement site in Jordan. Recent analysis has shown that the tablets were likely created by the Canaanites, an ancient Semitic people who lived in what is now Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, and parts of Jordan and Syria. Research has revealed that the tablets contain 29 unique symbols written from left to right. These symbols include dots, vertical stripes, and abstract designs. Scientists believe that the inscriptions are cult proverbs associated with a religious temple. Some signs, such as a symbol resembling an eye, have been identified as ayin, which means eye in Hebrew. These parallels have helped begin the decipherment. The Canaanites inhabited Canaan from 3500 to 1200 BC until they were conquered by the Israelite tribes. They are mentioned in the Old Testament. Interestingly, the Canaanite alphabet became the basis for the Phoenician script, which in turn influenced the Greek and Latin alphabets. The Glozel tablet. In 1924, clay tablets with mysterious symbols and images were discovered in the small village of Glozel in France, causing a heated debate in the scientific community. These artifacts, found by a young farmer Émile Fradet, were so unusual that they could not be linked to any known ancient civilization. The tablets contain symbols and images reminiscent of ancient writings, but their origin and meaning remain unclear. Some researchers have hypothesized that the Glozel tablets may be evidence of a lost or unknown culture that developed in the region thousands of years ago. Another more radical theory suggests that the tablets may be traces of extraterrestrial intervention, although there is very little evidence for this. However, the authenticity of the tablets remains in question. Since their discovery, scientists have conducted numerous studies to understand whether they are real ancient artifacts or skillful forgeries. To date, none of the versions have received definitive confirmation, and the Glozel tablets continue to be one of the most mysterious archaeological finds of the 20th century. Yort Spring Rook. The boat was found in the Yort Spring bog in Denmark and is the oldest planked ship in northern Europe, dating back approximately 2,300 years. The boat is almost 20 meters long, weighs 530 kilograms, and could carry 24 people with weapons and equipment. The boat's planks were made of basswood, the oars were made of maple, and there were curved extensions at each end. This boat is an outstanding example of ancient shipbuilding, showing the high level of craftsmanship and engineering knowledge of the time. Linden was chosen for its lightness and strength, which made the boat fast and maneuverable, and maple for the oars, for its hardness and stability. Lost part of the statue of Ramesses II. In 1930, German archaeologist Günther Raeder discovered in Egypt the lower part of a statue of Ramesses II, known as Ramesses the Great, who reigned from 1279 to 1213 BC. The statue was split and its upper part remained lost for centuries. After a long search, the upper part of the statue was finally found in Hermopolis, which was turned into an open-air museum. The discovery was made thanks to the efforts of archaeologists from Egypt and the United States during excavations in Hermopolis, which is located near Al-Ashmunin. Hermopolis was one of the main religious centers of antiquity, dedicated to the god of wisdom Thoth. The upper part of the statue, 3.8 meters long, discovered under layers of sand, depicts the pharaoh wearing a traditional cobra headdress. The statue is made of limestone, with hieroglyphs glorifying Ramesses II engraved on its back. The find also contained traces of ancient paint, which will enable scientists to accurately date the creation of the statue and establish its origin. Ramesses II is known as one of the greatest pharaohs in the history of ancient Egypt. During his long life, he built many significant structures and strengthened Egypt's military and diplomatic power. Pluto Gate. In 2013, an amazing discovery was made in Turkey, an ancient sanctuary also known as the Gateway to Hell. This mystical place has attracted the attention of archaeologists for its deadly fumes, killing all animals that approach them. The discovery was made in the ancient city of Hierapolis, located in the modern province of Denizli. Pluto's gate was dedicated to the ancient Roman god of the underworld, Pluto. They were a cave from which poisonous gases emanated. These fumes contain a high concentration of carbon dioxide, which makes the air lethal to any living beings. The The priests of the ancient sanctuary demonstrated the power of the gods by leading the animals to the gate, where they instantly died from the poisonous gas. Archaeologists have determined that high concentrations of carbon dioxide came from deep fissures in the ground running underneath the sanctuary. The gas reaches the surface and accumulates in the cave, creating a deadly atmosphere. This natural phenomenon was known to the ancient Romans and was used for ritual purposes. The discovery of Pluto's gate not only revealed the secrets of the ancient sanctuary, but also demonstrated how natural phenomena could be used in the religious rituals of antiquity. Metallic objects from Gaius. The La Mana caves in Ecuador have attracted the attention of not only archaeologists, but also fans of mysticism and ufology for many years. The story of the discovery of metal objects in these caves is shrouded in mystery and mysticism. According to legend, metal plates were discovered in La Mana with symbols engraved on them that resemble modern diagrams, maps, and even technical drawings. These findings became the basis for hypotheses about the existence of an unknown civilization in the distant past that possessed highly developed technologies, or about contacts between ancient people and extraterrestrial beings. Supporters of these theories argue that such complex and detailed symbols could not have been created with primitive tools and should indicate more advanced knowledge. Some researchers even suggest that the plates could have served as star maps or technological instructions left by aliens. However, most scientists are very skeptical about these findings. There is no conclusive evidence that the metal objects from La Mana are indeed ancient. Some experts point to possible traces of modern metalworking and the inconsistency of these artifacts with styles and technologies known in ancient Ecuador. Moreover, there is a lack of reliable dating and context for the objects, which further undermines their authenticity. Archaeologists believe that these artifacts may have been created in a later period, perhaps as part of a hoax or to attract tourists. Thus, despite the fascinating and mysterious story of the metal objects from the caves of La Mana, their origin and meaning remain in question. The story of the caves of La Mana is an example of how myths and legends can intertwine with reality, creating fascinating but often unreliable stories about our past. Last meal. Researchers from the UK have studied the mummy of a crocodile caught in ancient Egypt. A fish with a hook was found in the stomach of a 2-meter predator, which caused the death of the reptile. The mummy, 3,000 years old, is housed in the Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery. During the time of the pharaohs, animals were often mummified, especially crocodiles, which were considered sacred. Using X-ray and computer scans, scientists virtually removed the hook and recreated a replica of it in bronze. Scans showed that during its lifetime, the crocodile had swallowed many small stones called gastroliths, which help break down meat and regulate buoyancy. The last prey died before reaching the stomach and was not affected by digestive enzymes or gastroliths. Scientists believe that the crocodile was specially caught using live bait, after which it was mummified as an offering to the god Sebek. Bosnian pyramids. Mysterious structures have been discovered in Bosnia that, according to some researchers, may be ancient structures dating back about 12,000 years. These massive formations first came to the attention of archaeologists and enthusiasts in the early 2000s when they were pointed out by Bosnian archaeologist and businessman Samir Osmanagic. He claims that the pyramids were created by an ancient civilization and are much older than the known pyramids in Egypt. The complex consists of several pyramidal structures, including the Pyramid of the Sun, Moon, and Dragon. The Pyramid of the Sun is the largest and reaches a height of about 220 meters, making it one of the tallest pyramids in the world. Osmanagic and his team conducted extensive research, including ground-penetrating radar scans and excavations, claiming to have discovered traces of ancient tunnels and stone blocks that indicate the pyramids were man-made. However, not all scientists agree with this point of view. Many geologists and archaeologists argue that these structures are natural formations formed as a result of geological processes. They indicate that the geological structure of the region and the shape of the pyramids can be explained by natural forces such as erosion and tectonic movements. They remain one of the most mysterious and debated finds in modern archaeology. General's gold jewelry. In 2020, a huge trove of gold artifacts was found in Vindellev, Denmark, dating back to pre-Viking Age migrations. The finds included 23 gold objects, including 13 5th-century bracteates, gold fittings possibly from weapons, and 4 4th-century Roman medallions. Particularly noteworthy is the runic inscribed bracteate, the largest ever found, containing a reference to Odin, a key figure in Norse mythology. Research into these medallions has shed light on possible cultural and social connections between Vindellev and other regions of Europe. It is assumed that the medallions could serve as wedding ransoms or high gifts in elite circles. These gold medallions were probably worn by women as pendants, indicating the high status of their owner, who carried weight both locally and internationally. The peculiarity of these medallions is that they were given to prominent Roman figures such as senators and generals, and their presence in Vindellev, far from the Roman Empire, underscores the importance of this find. Face of Amenhotep III. Amenhotep III ruled ancient Egypt 3,400 years ago at the height of its power. Considered one of the richest men in history, he was revered as a living god and was the grandfather of Tutankhamun. Now we can see his true face thanks to scientific reconstruction. Amenhotep III led Egypt to unprecedented prosperity and international power. There are more statues of him than any other pharaoh, but his face has never been reconstructed. An international team of scientists decided to show us what this man looked like. Michael Habicht, an archaeologist at Flinders University in Australia, notes that Amenhotep III looked different than in his statues. This suggests that all the Egyptians who lived after his death did not know what he really looked like. His face after reconstruction expresses the calm of a man who stood for peace and lived in an era of economic prosperity. Research showed that the pharaoh was obese, sick and inactive, suffered from dental problems, was almost bald, and had a height of only 156 centimeters, which made him one of the shortest pharaohs. Brazilian graphics expert Cicero Moraes digitally reconstructed Amenhotep III's skull using data from living donors to determine the size and position of the nose, ears, eyes, and lips. The reconstruction also took into account historical data about his strong physique. This is the first close-to-reality image of the face of Amenhotep III, which includes not only the face, but also clothing and accessories. Amenhotep III died between the ages of 40 and 50, leaving his successor a country at the peak of power and wealth. In diplomatic letters, foreign rulers begged him to send them gold, describing Egypt as a country where gold was as abundant as sand. There is speculation that Amenhotep III's mummy may have been covered in gold leaf, making it look like a statue of a god. It is also suggested that the pharaoh was a great connoisseur of women, importing hundreds of foreign harem ladies. After the death of Amenhotep III, his son Amenhotep IV changed his name to Akhenaten and established the cult of the sun god Aten. However, his son Tutankhaten restored the cult of Amun and changed his name to Tutankhamun, becoming one of the most famous pharaohs thanks to the discovery of his tomb in 1922. Mysterious accessory from the future. Archaeologists have discovered wall carvings depicting objects similar to modern handbags. Some of these images are about 12,000 years old. The earliest were found in Turkey in the ruins of the megalithic temple of Göbekli Tepe, where strange images are engraved on the columns of the ancient temple. Similar motifs have been discovered in Mexico, Iraq, and South America, raising many questions about the possible use of such objects by ancient civilizations. Although the images resemble handbags or clutches, experts believe the ancient ruins are more likely to depict baskets. Some believe that the concept of a handbag may have been invented by ancient civilizations. The first modern bag appeared in 1841 in England, created by Samuel Parkinson. The problem is that the Göbekli Tepe temple was built in 9000 BC, and its builders could hardly have known about such an accessory. Another ancient example of a handbag was found in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs written about 5,000 years ago, where the gods hold a small square object symbolizing prosperity. Archaeologists have indeed found remains of baskets and tool bags used by the ancient Egyptians, but they cannot yet say for sure what is depicted in the hieroglyphs. Similar discoveries were made in Iraq, among the ruins of an Assyrian palace built between 883 and 859 BC, which depicts a genie with wings holding what appears to be a handbag. Historian David Miano believes that these figures, called Apkallu, were minor deities who carried water buckets made from sacred date palms rather than purses. Ancient buckets similar to the engravings were actually found in Iraq. Similar motifs have also been found in Mexico among Toltec ruins, where giant statues hold objects resembling handbags. These statues were created around 750 AD. Giant War Memorial. Archaeologists have discovered a 4,000-year-old memorial monument at the site of Banabazi in Syria that resembles the ancient Egyptian step pyramid at Saqqara. Known as the White Monument for the white sheen of its building materials, the man-made mound was first examined decades ago. Recent research has shown that around 2400 BC, the pre-existing mound was modified and expanded with a series of horizontal steps, each containing at least 30 burials sealed with layers of plaster. Ancient Mesopotamian texts mention war memorials where the bodies of enemies were piled up, although no such monuments have yet been found. However, the White Monument at Tel Banat appears to have served as a memorial for the settlement's inhabitants, rather than for enemies who died in battle. The discovery challenges some traditional ideas about Near Eastern archaeology. The monument was comparable in size to the step pyramid of Djoser at Saqqara, but was built of earth rather than stone. The burials at the White Monument were carefully placed, according to ritual customs, alongside military equipment, sometimes alongside missiles and animal skins. This fact indicates that the community sought to honor its warriors by creating a memorial in their honor. The oldest alphabet has been deciphered. Since 1964, archaeologists have discovered 15 tablets with mysterious carvings at an ancient settlement site in Jordan. Recent analysis has shown that the tablets were likely created by the Canaanites, an ancient Semitic people who lived in what is now Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, and parts of Jordan and Syria. Research has revealed that the tablets contain 29 unique symbols written from left to right. These symbols include dots, vertical stripes, and abstract designs. Scientists believe that the inscriptions are cult proverbs associated with a religious temple. Some signs, such as a symbol resembling an eye, have been identified as ayin, which means eye in Hebrew. These parallels have helped begin the decipherment. The Canaanites inhabited Canaan from 3500 to 1200 BC until they were conquered by the Israelite tribes. They are mentioned in the Old Testament. Interestingly, the Canaanite alphabet became the basis for the Phoenician script, which in turn influenced the Greek and Latin alphabets. An artifact more valuable than gold. In 2023, in Carlisle in the north of England, on the site of an ancient Roman bath, a unique artifact made of a special substance was discovered, more valuable than gold for the ancient Romans. This item, found by volunteers and archaeologists, is a solid example of Tyrion purple. To obtain this ancient dye, it was necessary to process about 12,000 shellfish living in the Mediterranean region. Tyrion purple, best known for its production in the city of Tyre in Lebanon, was prized for its brightness and durability and was used for dyeing clothing and wall paintings. The process of its production was complex and labor-intensive, which made this pigment extremely expensive and accessible only to the highest strata of society of the Roman Empire. The specimen found at Carlisle was used to create murals or dye fabrics. This is the only known example of a solid example of Tyrion purple in Northern Europe and possibly throughout the Roman Empire. This discovery not only highlights the complexity and richness of ancient Roman culture, but also contributes to further study of the interactions of ancient civilizations and the spread of their cultural and material achievements beyond traditional boundaries. Human blood on ancient mask. A gold mask from the Sican culture found on the northern coast of Peru contains traces of human blood. The Sican culture, which existed from 750 to 1375 AD, is known for its luxurious gold crafts, including funerary masks that were created during the Middle Sican period and often accompanied the elite in their tombs. In the 1990s, archaeologists excavated the tomb of one such elite. It contained a skeleton sitting upside down, painted bright red with cinnabar, with a gold mask covering a severed skull. Around the skeleton were the skeletons of 2 young women in labor and nursing positions, as well as 2 children. In a recent study, scientists analyzed the paint on the mask, identifying 6 proteins from human blood, including serum albumin and immunoglobulin G. Proteins from egg white, presumably from a Muscovy duck, were also found. Researchers believe that the presence of blood symbolized life force and could be linked to the idea of rebirth of the deceased. Tomb with unique frescoes. Amazing murals depicting daily life in the 8th century have been found in a small Tang-era tomb in northern China. Frescoes dating back to 736 cover all the walls of the tomb except the floor and depict scenes from life in the Tang dynasty. The tomb belonged to a man who died at the age of 63. The paintings are done in the style of the Tang era, using strong outlines and simple shading, and appear mostly two-dimensional. This style, called figures under the tree, was popular in Taiyuan, the capital of Shanxi province. The gate, corridor, and pedestal of the tomb are also decorated with frescoes. There are guards depicted on the outside of the gate. The frescoes do not depict famous historical periods or important people. In one scene, people perform everyday tasks, such as grinding grain or drawing water from a well. Another shows a woman with horses and a man with a whip, presumably from a non-Han ethnic group. The figures in the frescoes resemble the same man and woman, leading archaeologists to speculate that they were the owners of the tomb. Ancient image of psychoactive mushrooms. The Tassili in Eger cave, located in the southeastern part of Algeria, is a real treasure trove of prehistoric art. This site is known for its rich rock art spanning thousands of years. Particularly noteworthy is a painting created about 9,000 years ago depicting a shaman with psychedelic mushrooms. This unique artifact provides a window into the spiritual and cultural practices of ancient hunter-gatherers. This painting was first documented by French archaeologist Henri Lotte and his team in the 1950s. They were amazed by the brightness and complexity of the images, among which stood out the figure of a shaman with mushrooms of the genus psilocybe, known for their psychoactive properties. The shaman is depicted with an ornate headdress and war paint, indicating his ritual role. The shaman's posture and facial expression clearly demonstrate a state of trance. Psychedelic mushrooms played an important role in shamanic rituals, as evidenced by numerous examples from various cultures. In ancient societies, shamans used mushrooms to achieve an altered state of consciousness and communicate with the spirit world. The Tassili cave paintings indicate that similar practices existed in North Africa. The image of a shaman surrounded by mushrooms and other symbols carries a deep meaning. The headdress and coloring emphasize the high status of the shaman in society, and the mushrooms emphasize their sacred role in rituals. The trance state indicates the shaman's journey beyond the physical world, which was an important part of their spiritual practice. Stromatolites. These are some of the oldest evidence of life on Earth, estimated to be around 3.5 billion years old. These ancient formations are made up of thin layers of sedimentary rock that were created by colonies of cyanobacteria, primitive microorganisms capable of photosynthesis. Stromatolites can be found in various parts of the world, but some of the most famous and well-preserved examples are found in Australia, particularly in the Shark Bay area. The cyanobacteria that created stromatolites played a key role in changing the chemical composition of the Earth's atmosphere by releasing oxygen through photosynthesis. This led to the so-called oxygen catastrophe, which, although it caused a mass extinction of anaerobic organisms, created the conditions for the development of more complex life forms, including animals and plants. Stromatolites are thus considered the oxygen factories of antiquity. The Chinese have tried an ancient drink. A tightly sealed bronze vessel was found in an ancient tomb in the Chinese province of Shanxi. Researchers found about 300 milliliters of liquid in it, which is the remains of a fermented alcoholic drink that is about 2,300 years old. Two people who tried this liquid noted its metallic taste. People learned to make fermented drinks in ancient times. The earliest evidence of this was found in the Raqefet cave in Israel, where beer was made from cereals about 13,000 years ago. In the Neolithic era, alcoholic drinks began to be produced in the Middle East and China using millet and rice. In a bronze vessel 30.4 centimeters high and 21.6 centimeters in diameter, they found 300 milliliters of clear liquid, or rather a fermented alcoholic drink that was used as a funeral offering. The researchers found 4 types of starch granules in the liquid: millet, foxtail millet, Job's tears, legumes, wheat, barley, and rice. They also identified organisms involved in fermentation, including Aspergillus molds and baker's yeast. The scientists believe the drink resembled modern yellow wine, huangju. The history of the burial of an ancient Egyptian prince. In a cemetery in Middlebury, Vermont, there is an unusual grave that stands out from the rest. This is believed to be the burial place of the Egyptian prince Amenhotep, who was born in 1881 BC during the Middle Kingdom of Egypt and died at the age of 2.5 years. His father, Senvose III, later became pharaoh and ruled during the 12th dynasty, famous for his military campaigns and the construction of the Sesostris Canal. The boy's mummy was likely taken from Egypt by grave robbers during the Victorian era and eventually ended up in the collection of a 19th century American museum. Henry Sheldon, a collector and founder of the Vermont History Museum, acquired the mummy from Spanish sailors and stored it in his museum's attic due to its poor condition. After Sheldon's death in 1907, the mummy remained unclaimed until 1945, when museum director George Meade decided to cremate the decayed remains and bury them in the cemetery to avoid possible student vandalism. The tombstone is decorated with a Christian cross surrounded by the Egyptian symbols Ankh and Ba, symbolizing life and spirit. Ancient stone circles in Saudi Arabia. Archaeologists in Saudi Arabia have unearthed 8 ancient stone circles that served as habitations for people more than 7,000 years ago. Some 345 such structures have been identified through aerial photography in the Karat Uwairid lava field near the city of Alula in northwestern Saudi Arabia. The stone circles range from 4 to 8 meters in diameter and include at least one standing stone in the center. During excavations, archaeologists discovered many stone tools made of basalt. Almost 225 kilograms of stone tools or their fragments were recovered from only 5 circles. Bones of sheep, goats, and cows were also found. The finds included a variety of seashells from the Red Sea, located about 120 kilometers to the west. The round shape of houses was a global phenomenon in early architecture, and rectangular houses appeared later in the Neolithic period. The architecture of standing stone circles in Saudi Arabia is similar to structures found in Jordan, dating back approximately 500 years. The people who built these structures also raised sheep, goats, and cattle. The mystery of the Antarctic monolith. In 2020, in a remote part of Antarctica, at a depth of more than 2 kilometers, researchers discovered a mysterious object which was named the Antarctic monolith. This object, which is a rectangular stone slab about 3 meters high and 1.5 meters wide, was found using sub-ice radar, used to map the landscape under the ice sheet. The strangest thing began when scientists began to study the monolith. The surface of the stone was covered with complex geometric patterns and petroglyphs that were strangely similar to ancient symbols found in different parts of the world, including South America, Africa, and Asia. Analysis of the material showed that the stone has no analogs among the known rocks of Antarctica, which means that it came here from another place. In addition, the monolith had unusual magnetic properties. Instruments recorded a weak but constant magnetic field around it. Near the monolith, charred remains of organic material were found that scientists believe could be ancient plants or even remains of living creatures that lived millions of years ago. These organic materials, trapped in ice, could provide unique information about the ancient ecosystem of Antarctica when it was part of the supercontinent Gondwana. Some researchers suggest that this could be the trace of an advanced civilization that existed long before humans appeared. Others claim that it is potential evidence of contact with extraterrestrial beings. Tiahuanaco Cave. In the Tiahuanaco area, one of the most ancient and mysterious archaeological complexes in Bolivia, a cave was discovered with strange creatures depicted on its walls. These figures have large heads and eyes, which resembles the images of aliens that are widespread in modern culture. The discovered images immediately attracted the attention of archaeologists from all over the world. Some researchers have suggested that these images may reflect the myths and beliefs of the ancient cultures of the region, associating them with divine or supernatural beings. In the ancient civilizations of South America, images of anthropomorphic creatures with exaggerated features of body parts are often found, which could symbolize their special role and status in mythology. And then supporters of the theory of paleocontact put forward their hypothesis that these images may be evidence of real contacts with extraterrestrial beings who visited the Earth in ancient times. Interestingly, there are similar images and figurines all over the world that have many coincidences. Did humanity really encounter something extraterrestrial in ancient times? What do you think? Write your opinion in the comments below the video. Discovery of the star Sirius. The Dogon tribe of Mali, Africa has long attracted the attention of researchers and anthropologists due to their unique and ancient knowledge of the star Sirius. This knowledge is amazing in its accuracy. The Dogon claim that Sirius is not just a bright star visible to the naked eye, but that it has a satellite, Sirius B, which is invisible without special equipment and was discovered by Western scientists only in 1862. According to Dogon mythology, their ancestors received this knowledge from mysterious creatures they call Nomo. These creatures, according to legend, came to Earth from Sirius and taught the Dogon astronomy, agriculture, and other important sciences. The information that the Dogon keep about Sirius is amazing in its accuracy. They knew that Sirius B is a small and extremely dense star, which is surprising for a people who did not have access to modern astronomical instruments. This knowledge has given rise to many hypotheses and theories about possible contact between the Dogon and an extraterrestrial civilization. Supporters of paleocontact are sure that the ancient Dogon could only have received such precise data about space from a highly developed extraterrestrial race. Some anthropologists and historians believe that the Dogon knowledge could have been acquired not from mythical creatures, but from European missionaries and explorers who visited Africa in the past. There are suggestions that the Dogon could have learned about Sirius B during interactions with scientists in the 19th or early 20th century and then integrated this information into their myths and legends. The painful death of the Screaming Woman. In 1935, a mysterious mummy was found near Luxor, Egypt, dubbed the Screaming Woman because of her horrific open-mouthed expression. Scientists believe that the woman may have died from extreme pain leading to cadaveric spasm, which fixed her face in a scream. The mummy was discovered by an archaeological expedition from the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City in the tomb of Sinmut, the chief architect of Queen Hatshepsut. The tomb also contained a burial chamber for his mother and other relatives. Despite the rich burial, the identity of the Screaming Woman and the reason for her facial expressions remained a mystery for almost a century. Archaeologists conducted a detailed study of the mummy using CT scanning and infrared photography. A virtual autopsy revealed that the woman was about 48 years old, stood about 150 centimeters tall, and suffered from mild arthritis. Remarkably, her internal organs, such as her brain, heart, and lungs, were intact, which was not consistent with the usual mummification practices of the New Kingdom. Her burial included a black wig made of date palm fibers treated with minerals and 2 rings with jasper scarabs, indicating her high social status. Dr. Salem suggested that her facial expression may have been the result of cadaveric spasm, a rare condition in which muscles used heavily before death freeze, indicating possible suffering or extreme stress. The embalmers mummified her body before it began to decompose or relax, keeping her mouth open. Britain will return their spears to Aboriginal descendants. After 7 years of effort, the Australian Aborigines achieved the return of unique wooden copies captured more than 250 years ago by the detachment of the famous navigator James Cook. These artifacts were brought to England as trophies after the first European encounter with the indigenous people in 1770 at Botany Bay, near modern-day Sydney. The spears, which belonged to the Aboriginal Gwagala clan, were kept for many years in Trinity College, Cambridge University, and then transported to the Cambridge Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology. Cook initially took 40 copies to England, but only 4 survive to this day. These artifacts have now been returned and will be kept in an Australian museum close to where their original owners once lived. Recently, many countries, including Germany and the Netherlands, have begun to return cultural property taken away during colonialism. For example, Benin bronze was returned to Nigeria and valuable jewelry was returned to Sri Lanka and Bali. However, the UK continues to experience difficulties in returning its most significant artifacts. Greece, for example, has been trying for decades to return the Parthenon marbles, which are in the British Museum. Finally, after hundreds of years, all the ancient artifacts continue to return to their homeland, and in the near future we will see empty European museums. Love conquers all. The artifact was found during archaeological work on a 15th century harbor crane sandwiched between 2 defensive towers. Polish archaeologists have discovered a medieval decoration in the shape of a dove with the Latin inscription Amor vincit omnia, love conquers all. The dove badge contains the remains of 2 handles, which allowed it to be hung on a chain or attached to clothing. For the ancient Greeks and Romans, the dove symbolized love, devotion, and care. The dove was the sacred animal of the love goddesses Aphrodite and Venus. Dr. Anna Rimbish-Lubievska, an archaeologist at the museum, says pigeons are associated with love and fidelity. A pair of doves symbolizes care and devotion to a partner, making them the perfect symbol of love and family. The National Maritime Museum in Gdansk said that such decorations were popular in Gdansk between the 14th and 15th centuries. This fashion came from Western Europe, especially from the Netherlands and England. This harbor crane was once the largest working crane in the world. It also served as a defensive structure and one of the city gates. The crane had a lifting capacity of 4 tons to a height of 11 meters, which was achieved thanks to 2 massive wooden wheels at the base, each of which had a diameter of 6 meters. Since 2020, work has continued to restore the port crane, which was severely damaged during World War II. Stone needles. Archaeologists have discovered 6 ancient stone artifacts on the shores of Lake Chiaota Tso in Tibet. These finds may be the world's oldest stone needles, dating back approximately 9,000 years. The artifacts, found by student Yun Chin in 2020, resemble thick needles with a pointed end and a hole for thread. Their elegant design is amazing, as each needle is made with great effort. The scientists said the needles were made from hard materials such as tremolite and serpentine, suggesting they were used to sew thick materials, possibly tints. The scientists used ultra-deep microscopy and 3D modeling to study the techniques used to create them, including complex scraping and drilling processes. Particularly interesting was the discovery of traces of red paint on one of the needles. The color red had important cultural significance for the ancient Tibetans, symbolizing vital energy and protection from evil spirits. Some researchers believe that the needles could have been used to weave nets or as decorations. However, if these artifacts are indeed quills, it greatly advances our understanding of the ancient technology that allowed ancient people to create better shelters and clothing to survive harsh climates. Tried to treat cancer. A study of 2 ancient skulls yielded surprising results. They showed signs of cancer and traces of attempts to treat it. These findings show that the ancient Egyptians knew about cancer and tried to fight it. Signs of this disease included severe tissue destruction and small metastases. Particularly interesting are the cut marks around the lesions, suggesting that the Egyptians may have attempted to remove the tumors surgically. The ancient Egyptians were famous for their medical knowledge. They knew how to treat fractures, treat injuries, make prosthetics, and even fill teeth. However, their ability to treat cancer was limited. Scientists studied 2 skulls from the Duckworth collection at the University of Cambridge. One skull belonged to a 35-year-old man with signs of cancer and surgical interventions. The other skull belonged to a woman over 50 years old with cancerous lesions and signs of healed injuries. The researchers stressed that studying ancient remains is fraught with difficulties, with incomplete skeletons and a lack of clinical history making conclusions difficult. However, these findings provide new insights into ancient medical practices and highlight the need for further research in paleontology. Tutankhamun of Kazakhstan. In 1969, a burial site of a man in golden armor was found in Kazakhstan, which became a symbol of the country. Scientists, carried away by 4,000 artifacts, forgot about the remains themselves. The golden armor of a warrior from the 5th century BC, known as the Golden Man, became a symbol of Kazakhstan's independence. It was found in a tomb of the Saka tribe near the settlement of Issyk, 60 kilometers east of Almaty. During excavations, archaeologists discovered remains with gold-decorated armor and many other valuable artifacts. The burial, found by a farmer preparing the land for sowing, remained untouched despite the looting of the main tomb. In a sarcophagus made of spruce logs lay a skeleton decorated with 4,000 gold ornaments. This discovery amazed scientists so much that the human remains initially received less attention. The Golden Man, dubbed the Kazakhstan Tutankhamun, is thought to be an 18-year-old Saka warrior wearing a costume made up of thousands of gold ornaments, including a shirt, boots, and headdress. The costume features animal motifs and a 70 centimeter tall headdress with arrows, snow leopards, and mythical creatures. Archaeologist Janine Davis Kimball has suggested that the remains may be those of a female priestess, citing artifacts found nearby such as a mirror and necklace. In her book, Warrior Women, she theorizes that the Golden Man may have been a woman. The poor condition of the bones after 50 years of exposure to bacteria and viruses makes analysis difficult, but the possibility that the Golden Man was a woman remains open. Regardless of gender, the craftsmanship of the costume is astounding. An ancient toy for adults. The artifact, which is already more than 2,000 years old, was found in Great Britain back in 1992. Initially, archaeologists assumed that this wooden object was used as a sewing tool. However, further study suggested that it could be an ancient sexual device. Most scientists agree that the wooden object found is in the shape of a phallus. The uniqueness of this artifact is that it has not changed its shape and method of use even after thousands of years. And the most interesting thing is that its shape will not change in the future for obvious reasons. However, there are several versions regarding the use of this artifact. As a sex toy. Based on Roman images, it is known that they had dildos, but they rarely came down to us because they were most often made from organic materials. Also, some archaeologists suggest that slave owners could use such an object to inflict pain and demonstrate power over slaves. Others believe it could have been a good luck charm. Indeed, in ancient times, amulets of this shape were very common. As a final option, it could be used as a mortar for grinding or mixing spices and other materials used for culinary or medicinal purposes. Ancient Roman supermarket in the ocean. Archaeologists have discovered an ancient Roman supermarket in the Channel Islands off the coast of France, where various goods were traded. Research began in 2008 and resulted in the discovery of 2 Roman coins pointing to this discovery. One coin shows Caesar as a teenager, another shows the emperor killed by the invading Goths. The island of Alderney, the northernmost of the Channel Islands, may have served the Romans as a trading post. Archaeologist Jason Monahan noted that remains of Roman buildings, including a grotto, were found here, indicating a continued Roman presence. They could monitor the ships bringing goods from the Mediterranean to France. Archaeologists believe that Roman soldiers lived on the island, controlling trade routes and protecting them from pirates. Families of soldiers and Roman officials may also have lived here. In 2017, using electrical equipment, Iron Age burials and parts of a Roman building were discovered on the island, confirming long-term occupation. Excavations revealed that the Roman-era building had 3 rooms: a courtyard, a paved area, and a rubbish dump where one of the coins was found, Antoninian, dating back to 255 AD, equivalent to 2 denarii. In another layer of the building was found a bronze coin of the Roman co-emperor Valens, dating from 367, who was killed at the Battle of Adrianople. The remains of a Roman fort were discovered approximately 27 meters from the building. Archaeologists believe many more Roman-era buildings may be hidden beneath the sand dunes, creating the effect of a mini Pompeii. New species of dinosaurs in Siberia. In the Kemerovo region, Russian scientists discovered the skeleton of a dinosaur which turned out to be a previously unknown species. It was named Kiecursor longipes, which means long-toothed runner from the Kia River. The fossils were found after a huge rock fell from a rocky cliff with petrified bones sticking out of the rock. The skeleton was found on the territory of the Great Siberian Refugium, where relics of the Jurassic period were preserved: stem salamanders, primary crocodiles, and docodonts. Primitive mammals. The fossils were studied using X-rays, Connecticut scans, and microscopes. It turned out that the dinosaur lived in Siberia from 113 to 121 million years ago. The skeleton was partially preserved. Ribs, vertebrae, a humerus, both feet and legs, were identified. The specimen was classified as a ceratosaur, a group of running dinosaurs with 2 small legs. This is the first such discovery from the Cretaceous period in Asia. Until now, it was believed that ceratosaurs became extinct in this part of the world 40 million years earlier. The unique proportions of the hind limbs with an elongated 3rd digit allowed it to run better. Zoologists determined that the dinosaur grew to 2.5 m in length and was an adult animal, but no older than 3 years. 5,000-year-old dwarven village. The village of Makunik, located on the border with Afghanistan, is unique for its small houses built thousands of years ago. The height of these houses does not exceed 1.5 meters, and modern Iranians can barely enter them without bending over. Inside these houses, local residents stood tall, as their height did not exceed 1.5 meters. The small stature of the inhabitants was due to a lack of food and vitamins, which slowed down the growth of bones. Also, marriages between close relatives due to isolation and lack of funds for travel contributed to this. Life in the village was difficult. The soil was poor, and the inhabitants grew only low-maintenance crops such as turnips and barley. The situation has changed with the development of infrastructure in Iran. The construction of roads made it possible to deliver a variety of food products to the village, including meat and grains. This resulted in each generation becoming 10 centimeters taller. Modern residents of Makunik are tall and healthy people thanks to subsidies and government support. Today, 700 people live in Makunika next to the small houses of their ancestors. They continue to farm, but now their bodies are strong and tall. The village's history illustrates how harsh conditions and poor soil made the inhabitants Lilliputians, and the development of infrastructure and government support restored them to normal growth and health. Unicorn horn. Let me introduce you to the life of a medieval unicorn. This creature, although mythical, faced the cruel attitude of humanity. People hunted unicorns for their magical horns, which were believed to have unique properties, such as the ability to purify water and remove poison from food. Unicorns were believed to exist according to the testimony of many ancient scientists, including Aristotle and Ctesias, as well as great minds such as Leonardo da Vinci. In the Middle Ages, unicorns personified purity and wisdom. Their horns became a symbol of prosperity and could serve as an indicator of food poisoning among the aristocracy. But how do you find a unicorn horn in a world where these creatures don't exist? This question has been answered through the use of the horns of other animals such as rhinoceroses or walruses. Most popular, however, are the tusks of narwhals, animals from the Arctic whose curled tusks have been mistaken for centuries for the horns of unicorns. Travelers and hunters secretly obtained these horns and sold them to Europeans as the horns of mythical creatures. Thus, merchants and great rulers like Lorenzo de' Medici and Queen Elizabeth I paid huge sums for these tusks, considering them symbols of power and protection. Even the Grand Inquisitor Thomas de Torquemada did not travel without a piece of such a horn, believing that it could save his life from heretics. With the development of science and the progress of research methods, belief in the miraculous properties of unicorn horns has subsided, and now they remain only exhibits in museums, a reminder of how legends and reality were intertwined in human history. The oldest shopping list. When going to the store, many of us make a list of the necessary products on a piece of paper or in the notepad of our smartphone, but it was not always so. During excavations in southern Turkey, archaeologists discovered a unique clay tablet with Akkadian cuneiform, which turned out to be the oldest known shopping list. This document, created 3,500 years ago, gives us an idea of the daily life of the inhabitants of that time. The tablet was found in the ruins of the ancient city of Alalak, which attracted the attention of scientists in the first half of the 20th century, but due to the war, excavations were suspended and resumed only in the 2000s. Recently, after the earthquake of 2023, another clay tablet was discovered during restoration work in Alalak. It is 4.2 by 3.5 centimeters in size and 1.6 centimeters thick. Deciphering the inscriptions revealed that it was a shopping list, including wooden tables, chairs, and stools. The document also mentions the names of the buyer and sellers, making it an important source for understanding trade and everyday relations in the 15th century BC. According to Turkish archaeologists, this is the oldest shopping list that has survived to this day, and it is of great value for the study of the history of the ancient Near East. Viking sword in trash. On May 27th, Eivind Tveitane Lovra and his son were cleaning their farm in Suldal, Norway. While cleaning, they found a metal object that turned out to be a valuable artifact. Archaeologists with many years of experience took the sword for examination. They had never encountered such finds. During the Viking Age, a sword was a major indicator of status, and wearing one was a privilege. X-ray examination of the artifact allowed scientists to obtain valuable information. The blade retains the contours of an engraving in the form of a cross and possibly letters. The weapon dates back to between 900 and 1050, but the sword has lost almost half its length. According to the Gulaming law, the sword was a mandatory attribute of free men who attended meetings. The find may be the famous sword of Ulfbert from the Viking Age or early Middle Ages. Sigmund Orell, professor of archaeology at the University of Stavanger, explains that Ulfberts were high-quality swords produced in the Frankish Empire, now Germany. About 170 such swords are known, most of which were found in Scandinavia. Ulfberts are made of crucible steel with a high carbon content up to 1.2%. Alien creatures or unique people. In 2017, in a cave in the southern Peruvian city of Nazca, journalist and ufologist Jaime Mawson discovered 6 unusual mummies with elongated skulls and 3 fingers. He stated that they were alien creatures. The finds included 4 men, 1 woman, and an infant. Mawson presented the mummies before the Mexican Congress, claiming they were of alien origin. Despite his confidence, experts considered the mummies to be fakes. However, recent studies of one of the mummies, designated Maria M01, have yielded new unexpected results. Peruvian scientists analyzed Maria using electron microscopy and X-ray diffraction. It turned out that Maria has biological similarities with humans. Her bones smoothly pass under the mummified shell, and the elongated skull shows no signs of artificial deformation. The cranial vault shows atypical growth and development, and its volume is 30% greater than that of the average person. Maria is also distinguished by her lack of hair and ears, 3 fingers with 4 phalanges on her hands and feet, bulging eyes, and protruding jaws. Mary's feet have a unique structure. The calcaneus is different from a human's, suggesting it walked hunched over. Maria also suffered from arthritis and had a damaged spine. Maria lived during the same period as the Nazca civilization. This may indicate her connection with this culture. Previous DNA studies suggested that the mummies were modified remains of pre-Columbian people. The new study raises more questions than it answers. Scientists cannot accurately determine Mary's origins or her unique characteristics. Further research, including genetic tests, is needed to fully understand these remains. The fact that the ancient alien mummy bears many similarities to a real person further complicates understanding our past. Now it is even more difficult for us to understand who lived on our planet hundreds and thousands of years ago. 1,500-year-old relic. Archaeologists from Innsbruck have discovered a rare ivory reliquary in an early Christian church in Irschen, southern Austria. This unique artifact, which is about 1,500 years old, is a box measuring approximately 20 by 30 centimeters, decorated with Christian symbols. A team of archaeologists led by Gerald Grabherr has been excavating the region since 2016. On August 4, 2022, they found the reliquary under the altar in the side chapel of the church. Although the artifact was damaged, researchers were able to identify it as a pyx, a round ivory container richly decorated with Christian motifs. This discovery was the first of its kind in Austria. There are about 40 such chests known throughout the world, and the last one was found about 100 years ago. Most pyx are kept in cathedral treasures or displayed in museums, making this find especially valuable. Ivory lying underground absorbs moisture, becomes soft, and is susceptible to destruction. Conservation of the artifact required careful and lengthy drying to prevent shrinkage and cracks. For 2 years, fragments of the reliquary were preserved for scientific analysis. Researchers are working on a 3D reconstruction of the pyx. This process will provide a deeper understanding of the history and significance of this unique find. Ancient wolf from permafrost. During an expedition in Siberia, an incredible discovery was made. An ancient wolf, surprisingly well preserved in permafrost. The discovered carcass of a wolf at a depth of about 40 meters near the Terektiak River in the Abiysky region of Yakutia was transferred to the Mammoth Museum in Yakutsk for further research. The condition of the wolf amazed scientists. After 44,000 years, fur, bones, organs, and even terrifying teeth were preserved. Experts are calling the discovery unprecedented because it is the oldest known wolf to undergo a necropsy. They hope that studying the stomach and other organs will shed light on the wolf's diet and environment. The stomach remained isolated and free of contaminants, providing an instant snapshot of ancient Pleistocene biota. Examination of its contents can reveal not only what the wolf ate, but also its prey. Judging by the wear of the teeth and the development of the sagittal ridge, it has already been established that this is an adult male. The study of ancient bacteria could help in the development of new drugs and biotech products, highlighting the enormous significance of this discovery for the future. This discovery not only reveals the secrets of the ancient world, but also opens up new horizons for science and medicine. Diver finds rarest treasure. Back in 1715, 11 ships left the port of Cuba and headed for Europe with treasures. However, a hurricane off the east coast of Florida sank the ships and 1,500 sailors died. Gitschlag, his business partner Mike Penninger, as well as Nick Emilio and Corinna Leah, discovered more than 200 silver coins on the seabed. The value of the find, depending on the condition of the coins, can range from $12,000 to $130,000. When exploring sunken ships, the team often finds ceramic and metal fragments, but coins are a rarity. Silver coins can become corroded after hundreds of years in the water, but piastres are easy to recognize. The treasure was found among the wreckage of one of the two flagships. Gitschlag believes that the coins could have been minted in Mexico City. The treasure has not yet been assessed, but the main part will go to museums and only a small part will be put up for sale. Terracotta water pipes. Archaeologists have discovered a 2600-year-old terracotta water pipe at the ancient site of Kiladi in Tamil Nadu, India. The discovery highlights the sophisticated water supply systems of the civilization that flourished there thousands of years ago and adds new evidence to the urban planning and engineering skills of the Sangam people. Kiladi, located 12 kilometers from Madurai, was first discovered in 2014. Since then, the site has become important for the study of the Sangam period, which spans from 300 BC to 300 AD. Over the past decade, more than 20,000 artifacts have been found at the site, indicating an advanced society that excelled in brickmaking, beadmaking, and terracotta ware. The newly discovered cylindrical terracotta water pipe, according to the Tamil Nadu Archaeological Department, consists of 6 sections, each 36 centimeters long and 18 centimeters wide. These sections were carefully joined to form a 174 centimeters long water pipe. It is believed to have been used to transport drinking water, demonstrating advanced hydraulic engineering skills. The discovery also adds to our understanding that advanced engineering practices were not limited to northern India, but also to the southern regions, indicating a more technologically advanced ancient India than previously thought. Palm Scroll. In 1938, an amazing discovery was made in India. Ancient palm scrolls containing extensive knowledge about medicine, astronomy, and other sciences. These scrolls are over 4,000 years old, making them one of the oldest libraries in the world. The contents of the scrolls are striking in their diversity. From medical treatises describing the treatment of various diseases to astronomical records detailing the movements of planets and stars. These scrolls represent an invaluable cultural heritage that provides a window into the world of ancient knowledge and practices. They confirm the high level of development of science and medicine in ancient India. Of particular interest is the technique of their creation and preservation. Palm leaves, carefully processed and recorded, could store information for thousands of years. New details about Neanderthals. Scientists have been studying one of the oldest Neanderthal artifacts in Europe for more than 70 years, a bare bone with engraved lines. Found in a cave in Poland between 115,000 and 130,000 years ago, this bone has now been studied using modern techniques such as microscopy and X-ray scanning. It turned out that the 17 lines on the bone are not random scratches, but were deliberately applied in a certain order. This discovery suggests that Neanderthals used bone not just as a utilitarian object, but as a carrier of symbolic information, which may indicate their advanced cognitive abilities. The discovery of a bone with intentional carving suggests that Neanderthals may have had forms of symbolic communication much earlier than thought. This artifact becomes a key element for understanding the ancient history of mankind. It not only expands knowledge of the historical context of Neanderthals, but also confirms their capacity for high-level thinking. Oldest calendar. Archaeologists have made a stunning discovery in Göbekli Tepe, Turkey, when they discovered the world's oldest calendar dating back 12,000 years. The discovery could change our understanding of early civilizations, as it shows that humans were able to measure time as early as 10,000 BC. This was long before the rise of ancient Greece and other known cultures. The calendar is carved into a stone column and contains 365 markings, indicating 12 months with 11 extra days. Symbols including the letter V can be seen at the top of the column, while the bottom depicts a bird holding a round object and a scorpion. These images may represent the sun and the zodiac signs. Research also points to a connection with a comet, which caused a cold snap that lasted 1,200 years. This event would have had a devastating effect on large animal species and may have caused significant changes to the region's ecosystem. Historians believe that such catastrophic events may have been a catalyst for the emergence of new religions and the development of agriculture, which in turn led to the formation of the first civilizations. Land of Princes. Archaeologists from the University of Bologna have discovered a new and astonishing tomb in the necropolis of Corinaldo, Ancona province, Italy. The excavations by the archaeologists revealed a rectangular tomb in the center of a large circular pit. The tomb, measuring 3.8 by 2.2 meters, contained more than 150 decorated artifacts, including a two-wheeled chariot, a bronze helmet, cauldrons, and beautifully decorated vessels. These objects indicate the presence of a funeral feast, indicating the high status of the deceased. The burial dates back to the 7th century BC and is associated with the Picenes, an ancient Italic people who lived along the Adriatic coast from the 9th to the 3rd century BC. The Picenes were known for their trade relations with neighboring cultures, including the Etruscans, as confirmed by the Etruscan artifacts found. Recent finds include a large circular ditch 30 meters in diameter with a rectangular tomb. Artifacts include spits, an iron meat axe, and various ceramic serving pieces, indicating a funeral feast. This underlines the high social status of the deceased. Corinaldo Mayor Gianni Aloisi said the city can now be called the Land of Princes, confirming the historical and cultural value of the archaeological area of Nevola. Large-scale horse burials. French archaeologists recently made a surprising discovery in Villiers-sur-Indre, discovering 9 large burials containing the remains of horses that lived about 2,000 years ago. The burials contain 28 horses, carefully placed on their right sides with their heads facing south. The remains of 2 dogs were found nearby with their heads facing west. These finds date back to the period of the Gallic Wars, approximately between 100 BC and 100 AD, when Julius Caesar was actively engaged in military operations. The burials attracted the attention of archaeologists for their features. The horses, only 1.2 meters tall, were typical of Gallic breeds. The method of their burial was similar to those previously found in other regions of France, indicating a possible ritual or ceremonial nature. Interestingly, all the horses found were adults, which rules out common diseases as the cause of their death. Scientists from France's National Institute for Preventive Archaeological Research are analyzing the bones to determine whether the horses died in battle or were part of an elaborate ritual. To solve the mystery, researchers took DNA samples from the bones and surrounding sediments to determine whether the horses were Gallic or used by Roman units. Beer Quarry Cave. This Roman quarry was once a refuge for smugglers and is now home to rare species of bat. The beer stone quarried here was an important building material in Roman times. 2,000 years of quarrying has created a winding system of caves near the village of Beer, which gives the stone its name. The first Romans to arrive in Devon noticed the limestone cliffs at the mouth of the River Exe. They discovered veins of fine-grained limestone and began quarrying it. When the surface supply was exhausted, the Romans dug deeper into the cliffs, quarrying the stone with picks and wooden wedges. The stone was used to build important public buildings. The stone was transported to the river and shipped out by boat. After the Romans left, the quarries were used by the Saxons. Their quarries had sharp, square corners, as opposed to the rounded Roman ones. Beer stone was easy to work but hardened in the air, becoming stronger. It was cut on site and used to build buildings such as Windsor Castle, London Bridge, and Westminster Abbey. The stone was also used in the construction of Christ Church Cathedral in St. Louis, USA. After the Protestant Reformation, Catholics held secret masses in these caves. In the early 19th century, smugglers, including Jack Rattenbury, used the caves to hide contraband from ships. Mining ceased in the early 20th century when a new site was discovered. These caves are now of particular scientific interest due to the rare bats that inhabit them. Found a treasure using grandfather's old map. Two brothers from Germany found a treasure in Lubomierz, Poland, using a map drawn by their grandfather in 1952. They went on vacation to Poland, and one of their destinations was Lubomir, where their grandfather, who worked as a gardener, buried valuables before leaving. A map found in the family archive helped them find the place described by a relative. Arriving in Lubomierz, the brothers asked local residents for a shovel for excavation, but their actions seemed suspicious, and a local resident reported them to the police. Excavations were temporarily stopped until the brothers received the necessary permits. After the formalities were settled, archaeologists joined the excavations. Grandfather's map turned out to be not just a map, but a letter indicating the location of the treasure burial. At the designated location, the brothers found two antique jugs containing valuable finds, including watches, jewelry, 19th century coins, and a cigarette case from 1935. Apparently, these items were war trophies. The discovered artifacts were sent for examination to assess their historical significance. A salt block instead of money. An ancient mural found at Calakmul, a UNESCO World Heritage Site on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, depicts the first documented instance of salt trading among the Maya more than 2,500 years ago. Depicting daily life, the mural shows a salt vendor showing a customer a salt block wrapped in leaves, while another person holds a large spoon over a basket, presumably containing loose salt. It is the earliest known depiction of salt being sold in a marketplace in the Maya region. Salt, an essential biological element and a means of preserving food, was a valuable commodity among the Maya because of its limited availability. Salt blocks could be easily transported by canoe along the coast and up rivers in southern Belize. Louisiana State University, LSU archaeologist Heather McKillop discovered the first remains of ancient salt kitchens in 2004, submerged and preserved in a salty mangrove lagoon in Belize. Since then, she and her team have examined 70 sites that comprise a network of buildings and rooms known as the Paynes Creek Saltworks. McKillop's team found 4,042 wooden posts, a canoe, a paddle, a high-quality jadeite tool, stone tools for salting fish and meat, and hundreds of ceramic vessels. By examining the ceramic vessels used to evaporate the brine, the researchers found that they were standardized in volume, indicating the production of uniformly sized salt units possibly used as a medium of exchange similar to money. Golden tongues and images of the gods. Archaeologists from Egypt's Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities have uncovered an astonishing collection of artifacts during excavations at Tel el-Dir. The site has enriched Egypt's history with 63 mud brick tombs and other simple burials. The team uncovered a variety of artifacts, including gold foil pieces depicting gods such as Isis, Bastet, and Horus, as well as protective symbols and languages that allowed the deceased to speak before the court of Osiris in the afterlife. These foil fragments stand out for their craftsmanship and the variety of materials used. Numerous funerary offerings were also found, including amulets, Ushabti statues, figurines, coins, and a mirror, illustrating the burial customs of the 26th dynasty. Among the finds was a ceramic vessel containing 38 bronze coins from the Ptolemaic era depicting the head of Zeus Ammon. These coins, dated to the late 3rd century BC, may have been buried during a major revolt against the Ptolemaic dynasty around 206 BC. 1,500-year-old relic. Archaeologists from Innsbruck have discovered a rare ivory reliquary in an early Christian church in Irschen, southern Austria. This unique artifact, which is about 1,500 years old, is a box measuring approximately 20 by 30 centimeters, decorated with Christian symbols. A team of archaeologists led by Gerald Grabherr has been excavating the region since 2016. On August 4, 2022, they found the reliquary under the altar in the side chapel of the church. Although the artifact was damaged, researchers were able to identify it as a pyx, a round ivory container richly decorated with Christian motifs. This discovery was the first of its kind in Austria. There are about 40 such chests known throughout the world, and the last one was found about 100 years ago. Most pyx are kept in cathedral treasures or displayed in museums, making this find especially valuable. Ivory lying underground absorbs moisture, becomes soft, and is susceptible to destruction. Conservation of the artifact required careful and lengthy drying to prevent shrinkage and cracks. For 2 years, fragments of the reliquary were preserved for scientific analysis. Researchers are working on a 3D reconstruction of the pyx. This process will provide a deeper understanding of the history and significance of this unique find. Golden tongues and images of the gods. Archaeologists from Egypt's Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities have uncovered an astonishing collection of artifacts during excavations at Tel el-Dir. The site has enriched Egypt's history with 63 mud brick tombs and other simple burials. The team uncovered a variety of artifacts, including gold foil pieces depicting gods such as Isis, Bastet, and Horus, as well as protective symbols and languages that allowed the deceased to speak before the court of Osiris in the afterlife. These foil fragments stand out for their craftsmanship and the variety of materials used. Numerous funerary offerings were also found, including amulets, Ushabti statues, figurines, coins, and a mirror, illustrating the burial customs of the 26th dynasty. Among the finds was a ceramic vessel containing 38 bronze coins from the Ptolemaic era depicting the head of Zeus Ammon. These coins, dated to the late 3rd century BC, may have been buried during a major revolt against the Ptolemaic dynasty around 206 BC.
Twice the weight of a whale. The prehistoric cow lived approximately 40 million years ago in water. German paleontologists from the State Museum of Natural History in Stuttgart discovered its remains in the south of Peru, where there was an ocean in prehistoric times. 13 vertebrae were found, each weighing 100-weight, 4 1.5-meter ribs and a giant femur. The excavation site was a shallow bay that divided the equatorial part of the continent in half. Scientists have determined that the remains belong to a creature that lived about 40 million years ago. The creature weighed approximately 340 tons. This makes it the heaviest animal to ever exist on Earth. Even the giant brontosaurs were lighter. After studying the find, scientists came to the conclusion that these huge creatures swam slowly, dived shallowly, and fed on what they found at the bottom: algae, mollusks, and small fish. In their lifestyle, they resembled sea cows, which people exterminated in the 18th century. Outwardly, they most likely also looked like sea cows, although in fact they were ancient whales of the genus Basilosaurus. 5 skeletons found in Wolf's Lair. During excavations at the Wolf's Lair site in Poland, where Adolf Hitler's headquarters was located, archaeologists discovered 5 human skeletons. The find included the remains of 3 adults and 2 children, one of whom was a newborn. The peculiarity of the burial was that the bodies were naked and without limbs, which indicates the unusual nature of the burial. The Wolf's Lair, hidden in a dense forest and protected by barbed wire, guard towers, and minefields, served as a place where Nazi leaders planned their military operations. This base was destroyed by the Nazis during the retreat from the Red Army in January 1945. Among the artifacts found near the bodies were thunderstones, fossils of ancient sea creatures that in ancient times were considered magical talismans that could bring good luck in battle or protect against lightning. Octavian Bartoszewski, a participant in the excavations, suggested that the bodies may have been buried as a ritual sacrifice to ensure success and prosperity for those who occupied the building. Hermann Göring, the previous owner of the building, is known for his interest in the occult, which may explain the presence of such an unusual burial in his residence. The Nazis, including Hitler, were known for their obsession with the supernatural, which was reflected in their predilection for various occult practices and theories. This discovery not only confirms the dark legacy of the Nazi regime, but also once again demonstrates its desire to use any means, including mysticism and sacrifice, to achieve its goals. Fingerprints of an ancient man. Archaeologists have discovered an astonishing Iron Age statue with the well-preserved fingerprints of its creator, offering a glimpse into the lives of our ancestors more than 3,000 years ago. The ancient clay figure, dating back to the 9th or 10th century BC, was found at the bottom of a lake in Italy and is believed by experts to have ritual significance. The discovery was made in Lake Bolsena, a volcanic lake where archaeologists found a clay sculpture resembling a palm-sized female figure. Such figurines are usually found in burial tombs, but this one was discovered in an area that was once the habitation area of a submerged settlement. A team from the Underwater Archaeology Service and the Italian Cultural Heritage Restoration Team, together with state divers, played a key role in preserving and recovering the artifact. Researchers say the statue is so well preserved that the fingerprints of the artist who created it are visible. This suggests that the sculpture may have been a trial version rather than a finished piece. The discovery also sheds light on the ancient Italian village of Iola, which scientists believe existed during the Iron Age. The Gran Caro di Bolsena region where the discovery was made is associated with volcanic activity and has a rich history, the study of which only began in 1991 when researchers discovered a cluster of rough stones believed to belong to the early Iron Age.
Beer Quarry Cave. This Roman quarry was once a refuge for smugglers and is now home to rare species of bat. The beer stone quarried here was an important building material in Roman times. 2,000 years of quarrying has created a winding system of caves near the village of Beer, which gives the stone its name. The first Romans to arrive in Devon noticed the limestone cliffs at the mouth of the River Exe. They discovered veins of fine-grained limestone and began quarrying it. When the surface supply was exhausted, the Romans dug deeper into the cliffs, quarrying the stone with picks and wooden wedges. The stone was used to build important public buildings. The stone was transported to the river and shipped out by boat. After the Romans left, the quarries were used by the Saxons. Their quarries had sharp, square corners, as opposed to the rounded Roman ones. Beer stone was easy to work but hardened in the air, becoming stronger. It was cut on site and used to build buildings such as Windsor Castle, London Bridge, and Westminster Abbey. The stone was also used in the construction of Christ Church Cathedral in St. Louis, USA. After the Protestant Reformation, Catholics held secret masses in these caves. In the early 19th century, smugglers, including Jack Rattenbury, used the caves to hide contraband from ships. Mining ceased in the early 20th century when a new site was discovered. These caves are now of particular scientific interest due to the rare bats that inhabit them.
City in the heart of the Sahara. Central Sahara in Niger is a territory practically inaccessible to people. Any tourist traveling south from the Mediterranean coast faces a huge number of obstacles. Giant dunes, sweltering heat, and drying winds create a landscape almost devoid of life. But those who penetrate the depths of the Great Desert are in for a surprise. Surrounded by sandy canyons on a lonely plateau are the ruins of the huge fortified city of Jado. These ruins, which range in age from 800 to 1,000 years, are a mystery. The city appeared when this part of the desert was much more humid and fertile. Little is known about the inhabitants of these places, and who built this city remains unknown. The fortified city of Jado is a Ksar, a typical North African fortified settlement. Such settlements typically consist of residential structures built around a central food warehouse, with an emphasis on defensive functions. Ksars like Jado were built from palm trunks covered with an adobe mixture, hardened by the desert winds to the hardness of metal. What sets Jado apart from most similar Ksars is its incredible size. The colossal fortress rises above the desert, making the rest of the landscape insignificant. The Kanuri people, who inhabit the desert in the center of the Sahara, were the last known inhabitants of this place. Perhaps they inherited the city from an older culture about which no data has been preserved. The turning point that forced the Kanuri to leave Jado was probably the drying up of drinking water. As the green landscape turned into desert, the water became brackish and the environment too harsh for survival. People lived on the Jado Plateau for about 60,000 years, leaving rock paintings and other evidence of their presence. Small cattle were bred here as early as 7000 BC, and cattle appeared around 3500 BC. Rock art discovered in the Air Mountains is approximately 5,500 to 4,500 years old. They depict a world with dense vegetation and an abundance of animals, completely unlike the modern landscape. Today, getting to the once great city can be difficult. This part of the world is unstable, and the tribes inhabiting the area are constantly fighting for limited resources. The Kanuri now live in the nearby desert village of Chirfa, but return to their ancestral site every year to harvest the dates. Strangely, the date palms continue to bear fruit. Kanuri is a remnant of the ancient Kanium civilization, which reigned in the Central Sahara from 700 to 1300 AD. The origins of this empire are shrouded in mystery, and it is unknown whether Jado was founded during this period or even earlier. If the Kanem built Jado, then excavations can reveal a lot about this culture. But if they inherited it, perhaps someday they will be able to discover something else, hidden from human eyes and protected by the desert, to reveal all its secrets.
Unraveling the secrets of mass death. During excavations in the ancient city of Aswan on the Nile, archaeologists discovered 30 tombs dating back to the Greco-Roman period. These burials found on a hill contain mummies of children and parents, coffins, papier-mâché masks, amphorae with vine leaf patterns, and offering tables. Ancient oil lamps left by mourners were also found. The necropolis is unique in its terraced arrangement. 10 levels of tombs are built one above the other into the hill, which distinguishes it from the usual 2-3 level Egyptian burials. This site was used for about 900 years, starting from the 6th century BC until the 3rd century AD, when Egypt was ruled by the Persians, the Ptolemaic dynasty, and the Romans. Studies have shown that 30 to 40% of mummies belong to newborns and children under 2 years of age. Using X-rays, Connecticut scans, and DNA analysis, archaeologists and doctors at the University Hospital in Aswan found that the main causes of death were anemia and infectious diseases, even among rich people. A study of the mummy's spines confirmed the presence of tuberculosis, which could destroy entire families.
The other side of the Pope. Balthazar Cosa, who became John III, proved that even a pirate could find himself on the papal throne. His life began in 1370 on the island of Procida, and from an early age he became interested in piracy along with his brothers. However, at the request of his mother, he went to study in Bologna and quickly turned from a robber into a theologian. At the university, Balthazar formed the 10 Devils gang, was involved in petty racketeering, and even met his love, the witch Yandra de la Scala. But after her arrest by the Inquisition, he killed 2 inquisitors and went to prison himself, from where his friends rescued him. After escaping, Balthazar returned to piracy until his ship was wrecked, at which point he vowed to become a priest if he survived. Having survived and fulfilled his vow, Balthazar encountered Pope Urban VI and was involved in the dark affairs of the papal court, becoming an executioner and murderer. After Urban's death, his successor, Benedict XVI, sent Balthazar to suppress the uprising in Bologna, which he did with particular cruelty. As a reward, Balthazar received control of the city. Continuing his path in the church hierarchy, he took out a loan and bought himself a bishopric. After the death of Alexander V, Balthazar took the opportunity and was elected pope, becoming John III. However, his reign was short. At the Council of Constance, he was overthrown, accusing him of many crimes. Not giving up, Balthazar escaped but was caught and released for a large sum. Returning to Bologna, he lived to the end of his days, dying of cancer. On his grave, there is a monument by Donatello. The story of Balthazar Cosa shows how unpredictable people's destinies can be, and how sometimes even the most incredible personalities can leave a noticeable mark on history. Throughout the history of the Catholic Church, a great variety of terrible, vile, and mystical evidence has accumulated. This story is just a small confirmation. If you want to learn more about the history of the Vatican, the archives of the Pope, and cooperation not only with the Nazis, write in the comments under the video. I will prepare a video on this topic. Thank you for watching this video to the end. See you in new videos on the channel.